All right, Ian, our favorite time of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
So BlizzCon was this past weekend, and I think going into it, everyone had eyes on, how Blizzard was going to handle this. Blizzard has not had a particularly good run in the past year. And while people do tend to forget about things fairly quickly, Blizzard was just in the news, as we've covered, and everyone covered, over the suspension of Hearthstone player BlitzChung and taking away his tournament winnings for saying "Free Hong Kong" during a post-game interview. And they also fired the two broadcasters who were interviewing him.
Shoutcasters, is that what they call them? Something like that?
Something like that.
Something cringy.
So the response was swift from everyone on the internet, and it was one of those rare occasions where I think from all political walks of life, people were upset for various different reasons, and none of it was good for Blizzard. People were canceling their accounts. Blizzard was losing. Apparently, they were seeing, I believe, their stocks saw pretty substantial.
Oh, I didn't see
dip.
that. I'll look up the stocks right now.
Yeah, look that up. That's what I was reading. But I think they saw like a stock dip, Blizzard Activision. So
go to my TD Ameritrade account.
They took forever to get back to respond. And when they finally did, they gave the player BlitzChung his prize winnings back, and they reduced his suspension to 6 months. But still didn't really say a whole lot other than that.
The stock's been going up and down. I don't really see a huge dip in the stock. Maybe a couple of percentage points.
So
overall, not
before the opening ceremony, the CEO, J. Allen Brack, came out and apologized to the crowd. But I think for a lot of people, the apology was felt as sort of a non-apology or weak. Now, when you're making a public apology, you're never going to please everyone. But this was kind of sappy and a little toothless. So basically what he said was, Blizzard had the opportunity to bring the world together in a tough Hearthstone esports moment about a month ago, and we did not, said Brack. We moved too quickly in our decision-making, and then, to make matters worse, we were too slow to talk with all of you, said Brack. We didn't live up to the high standards that we really set for ourselves. Brack went further and said, I'm sorry and I accept accountability.
So not really saying we did the wrong thing.
Saying there's a lot to be said.
A little toothless.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like in an apology, saying that you're actually sorry, that you accept accountability, not saying I'm sorry, but those are all good things. So the words are there, except for the fact that they didn't acknowledge what they did wrong at all. No. There was no apology for suppressing the speech of someone who's, trying to gain independence from China. It all still smacks of a very, very it's very milquetoast. There's no energy. They had the energy to come out and punish BlitzChung. I'm not seeing any of that energy coming back around to try to make things right. It's still very mealy-mouthed and very lacking of any backbone. I mean, you could have come out. I mean, one thing that you could have done to make it better. I mean, and they acknowledge that, you'll have to see our actions. Well, one thing you could have done is just eliminate the suspension of the player. I realize that you feel like because you had a rule and that rule there has to be some sort of repercussion. But if a rule is shitty, then that rule should go away. It shouldn't be enforced for the sake of enforcing the rule. And with rules like this, they're so vaguely worded so that you can come in and come down on someone if they're, what was the wording they used? Like, not embarrassing, but making Blizzard look bad in the public light. Mm-hmm. But you could very easily just be like, yeah, that didn't make us look bad. We're all about freedom in Hong Kong.
Well, they're not going to do that.
Well, they're not. But I'm just saying, you can go multiple ways with this. That this rule is not so exacting that you had to come down on this one. Well, it's a rule. We got to make examples of the rules. You don't have to do that all the time.
The one thing we didn't comment on at the time, which we probably should have, is that 5% of Activision Blizzard is owned by a Chinese company. Tencent Holdings.
I thought we mentioned that.
Did we mention it? Either way, like as long as there's some of that going on, you're not going to get the a real full policy.
Right.
You never will. You absolutely never will. So you just won't. And besides it, or besides, they realize their hands are tied somewhat. Probably, it's when you do a deal with the devil. I mean, the NBA's come out a little bit stronger in terms of in the past week or two on their side dealing with China. And I think that someone has to just call someone's bluff at some point. And the NBA's starting to do it where it's like, we're going to stand behind our guys and so be it. And that's where, it's going to come down to, okay. Well,
did LeBron find his balls?
I don't think LeBron did. I think he tried to, clarify it. That was disappointing, obviously.
No, he tried to clarify it and made matters worse. He sounds like a fucking idiot.
This is what you have to do. You have to start calling bluffs. If someone has a problem with our business ventures here in China, we'll just say, okay, you don't think we're not going to make money there. You make money too with us being there. Then okay, don't deal with this then. And I think they'll cave. They realize economically they're going to have to work with us in any of these ventures. Since it's a global economy.
Yeah,
they're going to have to cave. I think. Or start up your own NBA in China or Basketball Association in China, which won't be 10% as good as ours. You can try and do it, and the people in China will still watch our games and pay for some of our products in some capacity. Bluffs have to be called at some point. In terms of if we're going to influence the world somewhat, we can't do it militarily all the time. We can do it with our economy and our culture. That's really what is going to happen. Is we're going to have a cultural economic victory in regions of the world that currently are behind us when it comes to either human rights or women's rights and or things with the climate, because there's big countries like China and India that are way behind us in terms of emission standards and things of that nature, because they're trying to catch up to us in the global economy. That's the only way out. We can't march into every country with soldiers, but economically and culturally we can try to exert pressure, and that's what has to happen. Otherwise, you're going to get way more situations like this. This is going to happen every other month. The more and more we get into it, and not just with China, with other countries like India and other countries, it's going to start happening more and more. And in the Middle East, it's going to happen more and more. We're going to have tiptoeing corporations around all these different regimes, and it's going to be a mess.
Yeah, it was an apology for nothing in particular. They apologized without ever really acknowledging what they were supposed to be apologizing for.
Sure.
So it doesn't mean a whole lot to me. It doesn't sit particularly well with me.
But good news, Ian. Something we knew about before the BlizzCon last year that was reported and that they said about the announcement of Diablo IV.
So I'm fucking excited for this. Diablo IV was announced. We all knew it was coming in the works. Now we're finally getting to see something on it. It looks like it's going to be it's going to be trying to appeal to, I think, the older, not the older players, but the people who are a bigger fan of the original look. It definitely looks a lot darker in tone than Diablo 3 did. Diablo 3 was not like a light, happy-go-lucky game, but Diablo 3 was a bit more, I would say a little bit more cartoony, a little bit more palatable, maybe, for people. It shined up the demon stuff a bit.
It shined up the hellscape a little bit.
The character design it's hard to explain, but when you play Diablo 3, as much as I loved Diablo 3, you get a sense that it was maybe cleaned up a little bit. It wasn't quite as dark and grim as the first and the second one.
Some screenshots. It looks dark still.
So this one, I think they said they went to kind of settle concerns that it wasn't going to be, dark and grim enough for people. With a 5-minute, I think it was, intro trailer, which I watched. It was fine.
Trailer.
I don't know that you need to go and watch it.
I'm gonna watch it.
But it shows a group of treasure hunters trying to find treasure. They're fighting some monsters, and then basically the one dude sacrifices himself, and they bring Lilith back. So Lilith is looking to be the main villain in Diablo 4.
Graphics are impressive. I mean, I guess they should be at this point.
That's not gameplay.
Official gameplay.
Oh, that's trailer. Okay. I thought you were looking at the trailer I was just talking about.
Oh, no, I'm looking at the gameplay trailer.
No, the game looks great.
Jesus.
So
Kick that guy in the chest.
basically, it's going to be looking darker. It's going to have a larger open world. They're trying to create a world from what the hands-on stuff that I've read through Kotaku has said, where basically you want to travel from point A to point B. You don't want to... In Diablo,
I would say it's traditionally just a dungeon crawler, right?
Right, it's a dungeon crawler, and there's lots of, like, basically...
Not many dungeons in this gameplay trailer. They're outside.
Well, you're outside in a lot of Diablo 3 too. Dungeon crawler just refers to like the style.
Just a style. You're not in a dungeon.
I mean, you can be, but there's lots of outdoor areas.
Okay. Oh, he's fighting wolves.
So, what was I? You threw me off here. Oh, Diablo in the older Diablo games is you progress, it becomes very much, you kind of figure out what you want to do. You accept this mission and you open up your map and you jump just from portal to portal to get to the dungeons where you're supposed to be fighting. In this one, they kind of want to create a more cohesive world, they've said. They want to give you a reason to travel from point A to point B, meet up with other players, have things happen that you wouldn't expect to happen.
More open world?
More open world, more like natural events occurring. What I liked about reading this, though, was the one guy was talking about... basically, the ethos is we want you to kick ass when you're in the game. Even breaking a barrel should feel gratifying. This is from Chris Giampa. If you were to close your eyes and play the game, you'll hear exactly what's happening: chopping a goat man in half, squashing him with a boulder. So, no, it's nice to hear them say that, because one of the things that I've always loved about Diablo games, and especially Diablo 3, I think did it particularly well, is that it's a dungeon crawler where... yes, there's going to be challenge, especially if you're playing on the harder difficulty levels, but the game does an amazing job of within 15 minutes, you can be level 2 or level 3, and you're already feeling like a badass. Blizzard they do a really good job on the Diablo games of making you feel like you're an ass-kicking superhero, even if you're early on, and it keeps people playing because there's always new skills and new things to unlock on your skill tree, new passive skills, new active skills, but the ones that you've got are already fun to play with. They make sure you're having fun with the game at every possible turn, and it sounds like they're really focusing on the same thing for this as well. So yeah, that's something I really like. It's unlike other dungeon crawlers, unlike some other RPGs I've played, where you really have to put the time in to feel like you're progressing or getting anywhere. Diablo, especially in part 3, and it sounds like with part 4, does a really good job of making you feel like you're doing everything right out of the gate. Everything just plays nice with itself.
Gotcha. I see
all the skills, everything comes together, even early on, to feel very nice. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. There is no release date announced that I could find.
From what it looks like, this is at least over 2 years off from what people are saying.
I have a feeling it's probably a good...
Should be a while.
Good length time away. Blizzard doesn't ever really rush stuff out, to my knowledge. In fact, they probably take longer than they should for most things. That's what most people would say.
They take longer than they should.
Yes.
Hey, when it's done, it's done. At least it'll be good when it comes out, right?
So,
hopefully be finished.
I'm ready for it.
All right. Diablo Immortal, Ian.
What about it?
They showed it,
okay.
and people are actually having positive feedback to it.
Oh, are they?
From the reports I saw.
Imagine that. It's not the end of the world.
They said, the developer said Backlash was rough, but mobile game is firing on all cylinders. Last year was rough. Principal game designer Wyatt Cheng told The Telegraph at BlizzCon. We knew that there were multiple Diablo projects being worked on by multiple Diablo teams. That's what we said. That's all we could say. Well, that's what it is. So that's going to come out probably, I'm guessing that's going to be within the next 6 months to a year. It has to be, if they were showing it off last year at this point. And that's going to be a multiplayer online mobile game.
And looking at screenshots, it looks fine. I've got Diablo 3, I guess, if I want to play through another Diablo. Is this going to offer me like a story mode that I'm not going to get a chance to experience elsewhere? I guess probably. Do I care? I don't really play Diablo for the story. I don't know. With Apple Arcade being something that I've subscribed to now for 2 months because I like the idea of it, I'm still reminded that I don't play anything on my phone. Nothing sticks.
Diablo Immortal is different to Diablo IV is that it was pitched as a massively multiplayer online game. There were also suggestions that the game was a reskin of NetEase's own Crusaders of Light.
I remember
which
hearing
itself
that.
was something of a Diablo clone. The game is running on NetEase's in-house engine, but Blizzard says that Diablo Immortal has been built from the ground up. Well, there you go.
From the ground up or running on their in-house engine? I guess that's not mutually
You can use the
exclusive.
engine, but
Yeah.
I guess not just reskinning it. It's being built against the assets and everything
Sure.
else. That makes sense. All right, there you go. That's going to do very well when it comes out. I mean, the new Call of Duty mobile game did a ridiculous business.
I forgot that's a thing.
Most downloaded game like ever or whatever the hell it was within like a week, or everyone downloaded it. You know, the new Call. I gotta start trying to play these games to see how good these are. First person shooters on a phone. I'm really curious.
I think a lot of
about
people are using controllers now too.
it. Okay.
You
So
know,
just saying,
a
okay,
snap-on controller, or they're
bring it
putting
out
that
to
up
where
on
you're
a
working.
stand.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that.
and playing it on a little screen. I guess you can do that.
I feel like I feel like that, you know, that some of the Apple Arcade games that I've played, you know, may be better with a phone. I have no idea, or with a controller. I have no idea.
Okay. Overwatch 2. Any looking forward to that at all?
I really loved the first Overwatch, but I quickly was not good enough to hang, so I stopped playing.
I never played it, and I should, because it's probably a game right up my alley.
I fucking love Overwatch.
That's the closest I'm going to get to like a team first-person shooter type game.
It's a team first-person
Yeah,
shooter.
those- I love those.
But it's sci-fi. It's colorful. The cast of characters
that's-
is unique. Like, it's not just military. Like, everything.
Closest I'll get to an Unreal game.
There's lots of blues and oranges in it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not dark. Like, the thing I loved about Overwatch when it came out are still things I love about Overwatch now, other than the community has solidified itself. You don't want to, like, and I'm not good. I'm not good enough. So like when it came out on Switch, I was curious and I was like, you know what, Blizzard doesn't need my money right now. Like,
Gotcha.
They don't.
It's only been out for 3.5 years. I feel like it's been longer or shorter. I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't really looking to support. I'm still not looking to necessarily support Blizzard with too much. But hey, maybe when Diablo 4 comes out, I'll have to bite. Because we all have our weaknesses. But yeah, Overwatch 2, I didn't follow. It's cool, but I'm never gonna play it.
Okay. I mean, I'll try to get into it at some point if there's nothing else for me like Unreal. Let's put it this way: when I watch them on TV and ESPN, I can kind of almost follow what's happening. Kinda. It's still better than watching something like a professional Counter-Strike game, because with that, it's one player time. There are groups together usually. In Overwatch, you're fighting together.
It depends. Yeah, I mean,
so
it
it's
can
easier.
be.
It's easier for me to follow. It's just presented better on the television, because they pull out and you see what's going on a broad. You can kind of follow what's going on a little bit easier. I'm trying to learn with not knowing it, and it's actually entertaining to watch those games. Now the MOBAs though, I still don't know what's going on. They made fun of that in SNL a couple weeks ago, having a character, I think a rapper, who's done it before. He's like a Knicks guy that he has to do a Rangers game and they doesn't know what's going on. They had him follow like a League of Legends thing, and on the screen he doesn't know what the hell's happening. It was funny as hell.
Oh, nice.
Or doing color commentary or analysis. I'm like, that's the same thing when I watch it. I can't tell what the hell's happening. With Overwatch, I can kind of tell what's going on.
It's not that hard. It's protect or escort.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know, like, I still don't know, like, when they're building up their special attacks stuff. I still can't follow what's happening with that and when that happens, and you know when it's going to go off, things like that. All right, well, there you go. That's me and Ian's BlizzCon 2019 coverage, I suppose, and of course, StarCraft can go to hell because they haven't developed a StarCraft game in forever.
Yeah, there was nothing StarCraft related.
That's kind of a shame.
Yeah,
that's kind of a shame. I guess no. When did Warcraft 3 come out? Is that still a thing anymore? Warcraft 3.
Jeez, probably
like
not.
6 years ago. When did that come out?
6? That had to have been
2002?
I was gonna say that's way long.
That was 2002?
That was before I moved here, dude.
I could have sworn that was like 2012. It was 2002?
Oh, man, no.
Okay.
It was like way before
Warcraft 4 can fuck up. Man, I'm thinking of Spacecraft 2. When did Spacecraft 2 come out?
StarCraft
2, not Spacecraft. When did StarCraft 2 come out?
I don't remember.
Is there a Spacecraft? StarCraft 2 was 2010. Man, I'm confusing the two. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, they're both way overdue. Warcraft is due for Warcraft 4. That's still probably my favorite, most favorite real-time strategy is Warcraft 2. This is an excellent game there. All right. Moving on.